Good morning, everybody. We're going to talk today about displays. That's one of the questions that gets brought up from new vendors and experienced vendors alike, as far as how do I select the best display or the display pattern to show your wares and sell your wares. So displays, I like to think of it, it is really setting the table or setting the tone for your booth, as far as, are you selling things at an inexpensive price point? Are you trying to sell kind of higher quality things at a higher price point? Are you wanting to sell in bulk? Are you wanting to sell just one or two items here or there? There's a lot of strategy that goes behind picking the furniture and the retail displays that you'll use in your booth. So just real quickly, your displays kind of mimic a starter home, right? When you're first getting started, oftentimes your space is smaller, and so you really have to make every inch count. I would say one of the most common concerns that we see with vendors is they will put in a 3-foot shelf or a 4-foot shelf, and so you've got all of that vertical space then not used well. And so it's kind of like if you were in a tiny apartment or house for your first living arrangement, you wouldn't want a 3-foot bookshelf, you'd want a 6-foot bookshelf. So you could take the same amount of floor space, but you could go upwards, you could go vertical with your sales. And so, a 6-foot bookshelf and a 3-foot bookshelf take the exact same amount of floor space. And so you want to really maximize that so that you can be selling items higher up. Eventually, you move from your starter house or starter apartment or whatever, and you get bigger and bigger, and things get nicer and nicer. And so that's usually the path that most vendors go on. Some vendors find really cool, unique displays, something that maybe came from an actual retail store like a JCPenney or something. Other times just a cool shelf you found on Marketplace, Buy Sell Trade on Facebook or something. Maybe something you've purchased from the store, something you found somewhere else. My one word of caution when you find a unique display, if it is maybe more interesting or more intricate or it stands out somehow, that also can tell folks, because they're going to remember that. And remember, about half of our door traffic is repeat customers. And so if you move in 1 month and you put this display here, and 6 months later, 8 months later, a year later, 16 months later, you've still got the same display there, even though your items on that display could have changed 100 times, the fact that they're still seeing the same display. Let's say you have, like we've got one in the store I can think about that's in our booth, and it's a kind of a bright aqua or teal bookshelf. And so we really try to move that shelf around the store and put different items on it as much as possible. So one time it'll have kind of our faith-related books and decor. Next time it'll have dog treats and dog books, and then the next time it'll have all of our little ceramic birds or brass or something. And so your display can kind of be a hindrance to you the cooler it is, because folks are going to remember that. If it's just a white bookshelf, that's pretty versatile and it kind of blends in, but you want to kind of keep it moving around. I mentioned at the very beginning that your shelving does tell folks, here's what to expect with my booth. So if you have kind of garage storage shelving, PVC shelving, metal shelving, those types of things, that is sending the customer a message that there is not higher end merchandise on those shelves. There is nothing wrong with wanting to sell at a low price point. So please don't think I'm saying everybody needs to raise their prices or something. But if you're trying to put nice items, nice glassware, nice whatever it is, decor, gifts, those types of things on kind of some Walmart shelving, that can be a challenge, because if you're just kind of shopping with your eyes, which we all do, and the first thing you see is that it's PVC shelving or plastic shelving, people don't expect to see $20, $30, $40 items on that. They expect to see something that looks like it came from a garage sale. And so that's why we really have in the vendor agreement kind of stressed, try to use other shelving. If we get too much of it in the store, it does kind of cheapen the store. And so There's some folks that use it and it works just fine for them, and we make those exceptions. And so we try to be as flexible as possible while still pushing vendors to kind of reach for the stars and try to take your game up and everything. So just to recap, pick your shelving carefully. At the very beginning, it's going to be basic, and that's okay, because the most important thing is to start selling, right? Sales are the most important thing to have in any retail business. Any business is income, revenue. And so if it's a matter of, well, I got to find this perfect shelving, or just getting started with something and then be looking for other shelving, go that route. Work from that playbook. But then once you do kind of settle on shelving, make sure it's something that sends the right message, a coherent message with your product. Is it more inexpensive? Is it higher end? Those types of things. And then finally, remember that as much as you change your booth around, as far as the inventory that's on those shelves, you've got to change the shelves around. Even if you keep the same shelves, but put them in a different order, face one on the other side or something, change those things around. That can be really beneficial for you. Thanks.